Man along with Sam Monson. I'm Steve Palazzolo. Today discussing some of the questions coming out of the PFF50. Today let's break down the two best linebackers in the NFL. We had Luke Kuechly come in at number 7 and Bobby Wagner, Seattle Seahawks, come in at number 3. First, let's break down exactly what the PFF50 is, what the criteria is, and then why we had these guys ranked where they were.
Yeah, simply put, the PFF50 is the best 50 players in the NFL right now. So it's informed by 2018 grades, but that's not all of it. We're looking deeper than that. We're looking into the entire database. Obviously, we're the only people out there that are watching and grading every single player on every single play throughout the NFL. So we have more data on any of these guys than anybody else. That's what the list is created using, and it's not weighted by value. So it's all positions created equal. There are linebackers that are up there in the top 10. 2 of them, despite the fact that in a value-based list, would basically be quarterbacks as far as the eye could see.
Right. So now when we break down some of these players, I think that one of the easiest things to do is at least get the right players in the top 20. But when you have to split hairs at linebacker, at receiver, at some of the other positions, it is pretty difficult. So it was clear for us that Bobby Wagner and Luke Kuechly are the top guys. We see Luke Kuechly there at 7, 90.7 grade last year. It's really tough to separate him from the top spot because he's got 5 straight years of elite 90-plus grades. But if you look at the last 2 years, Bobby Wagner at 91 plus, both of those years. Kuechly in the 90s. So we had to split hairs. We had to make the list, to separate the two guys. What else do you think went into that as far as Wagner over Kuechly?
Yeah, it's really hard. It is splitting hairs, and it's tough to make the argument without sounding like the other guy is terrible, and that's clearly not the case here. We're talking about 2 of the top 10 players in the entire NFL, so both guys are spectacular. Luke Kuechly owns the highest coverage grade we've ever seen from a linebacker from a few years back. He's also got a pretty cool t-shirt in the PFF store, so
that's important.
That's important, and that, obviously put him into the top 10. Wasn't quite enough to put him over Wagner. My favorite thing about Bobby Wagner is he is the new standard when it comes to just tackling. Linebackers are tackling machines, the best guys. And years back, Takeo Spikes was the gold standard. Barely ever missed a tackle. Was always in single digits for the season. Bobby Wagner is the new standard. May actually be better than Takeo Spikes was as well. If you look at the past 3 seasons, when you add in solo and combined and solo and assisted tackles, Wagner's got over 400 of them, missed just 13 tackles. That is an insane ratio and way better than anybody else on that list. And anybody else on that list, and he had more tackles and assists than anybody else on that list. So he's making more of them and missing fewer of them. That's basically what you're looking for linebackers.
And making tackles around the line of scrimmage, making a ton of stops, only 5 missed tackles just over the last 2 years. So Wagner certainly trending in the right direction. Kuechly's battled some injuries over the last couple of years. He's been healthy 17 and 18, but 16, 15, missed a little bit of time. And that may have hurt him a little bit, but Wagner's just kind of jumped him a little bit. He has 12 pass breakups over the last couple of years. Kuechly only has 7. Kuechly has 1 extra interception, has given up 1 extra touchdown. So it's a lot of little things. We're trying to use some stats to, kind of paint the picture. But it still comes down to we're grading every player on every play. So it's not just the stats. It's are you taking on blocks? Are you beating blocks? Are you making productive plays in coverage? And all of that stuff adds up to Bobby Wagner just being a little bit better over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, and I think when you look outside at their surrounding situations as well, you start to lean towards Wagner over the past couple of years. A few seasons ago, you were talking about him in the heart of this incredible Seahawks defense, the Legion of Boom behind him. This was a phenomenal system to be in, and you wouldn't necessarily expect him to look anything other than good. But now, they've been kind of slowly dismantling that around him. Richard Sherman is now in San Francisco. Earl Thomas is out the door this offseason. Cam Chancellor retired. The weapons and the talent on that defense has been diminishing in recent seasons. And if anything, Wagner's been getting better. Like, the more responsibility that's been put on his shoulders, the better he's been playing. So I think that starts to add up in his favor as well. He wasn't just a product of the system. And actually, when you start to take the system away from him, he still looks fantastic.
So there you have it. It's breaking down just some of the more difficult decisions we have when putting together the PFF50. Bobby Wagner slightly ahead of Luke Kuechly. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Who's the best linebacker in the NFL? And be sure to check out our entire list. It's the PFF50 best players heading into 2019.